Well, it's a new day. Yes, it is. And not only is it a new day, a new week, a new month, a new year, it's a new decade. And it's been a while since I've been in front of this camera, recording on this laptop, in a Q&A video. It's a little bit weird. I gotta get back into the rhythm of things and doing some wrestling videos / sports videos for you. Podcasts and Q&As. I'm going to try my hardest. I'll try my hardest. I don't know how successful I'm going to be, but I will try my best to do more videos and to get more subscribers and to grow this channel. I appreciate the subscribers that I already have that continuously watch all these videos, all these Q&As, all these podcasts, all these, live streams, whatever the case may be. Thank you for whoever watches. Thank you. And the last decade was definitely a roller coaster in my life, both in terms of being a wrestling fan and just in my life in general. Going through high school and graduating, going through college and graduating, going through my first 2 relationships with guys. So that was a little nerve-wracking. But I got through it, getting through it in a relationship of almost 2 years, over 2 years, I should say. With some jobs lined up and doing some videos on this channel. I missed this. It's been a while. I got to get back into the rhythm, the swing of things, and what better way to do that than by looking back at the past decade, the 2010s, both in the wrestling and sports worlds. And I want to thank the 2 people, Peyton Dale and Walter Main, for actually sending questions for this 2010s themed Q&A video. Information on how to submit questions for whatever future Q&As I decide to do, whenever I decide to do them, will be down below in the description. And also, check out some new content that's coming up. There's going to be a podcast posted tomorrow. There will be new content coming up next week and in the next couple of weeks leading up to the Royal Rumble. So that's something to get excited for, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, or not, who cares. But anyway, let's look back at the 2010s with this Q&A. Honestly, it's been so long since I've done one that I don't even remember which number Q&A this is. I'm going to have to go back and look when I put the title and, and the thumbnail and everything like that. I'm going to have to go back and look to see what number Q&A we're on. Peyton Dale, who was the best heel of the 2010s? Probably The Miz, because especially from a WWE standpoint, as they moved from the PG era into the reaction era, I guess you can call it. He's the only guy, or one of the only guys, who consistently goes on television and gets the reaction that he is paid money to do. That he is paid money to get. He goes on television each and every single week when he's a heel and gets booed. That's the objective. It's not like a guy like Seth Rollins, especially 2014, 2015 Seth Rollins, Authority Seth Rollins, where half the crowd was cheering him, which would make him a bad heel. Well, The Miz gets booed by a pretty decent portion of the audience every week. So, probably go with The Miz. Best submission move of the 2010s. Weird. Weird question. Because they're really... again, I'm specifically looking inside WWE because I don't really watch a lot of outside WWE stuff. So inside WWE, there weren't really a lot of big-time submissions. I might just lean towards the yes lock, maybe, or the label lock, whatever he calls it now. I might go with that. I can't really think of any other ones. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's been a struggle the last couple of months, years with wrestling that I honestly forgot what some wrestlers even have as finishers. Yeah, you know what? I'll just stick with the S-Lock. Biggest moment in wrestling of the 2010s. Biggest moment. Biggest moment. Probably Taker's streak ending. Whether it was the best moment or not, or the worst moment or not, that's a whole different conversation for another time. Taker's streak ending's probably the biggest moment. And if he actually retired the correct way after WrestleMania 33, his retirement match, if that's what you want to call it, against Roman Reigns, him losing that match would probably be the next one. But yeah, I might go with Taker's streak ending. Let's see here. Best return and best promo of the 2010s. The return? There have been some. Even though it really didn't lead to much because of, their own personal reasons and just WWE being the WWE, maybe I'll go with the Hardys because it did produce a pretty big moment at WrestleMania 33 on a night that, other than the ending, lacked a lot of big moments. So I might go with that. Best promo? I'm not going to say the pipe bomb because ultimately, what did the pipe bomb lead to? What did it lead to? The entire storyline and Punk's entire point of the pipe bomb was completely and utterly and totally destroyed when he came back 8 days after he left at Money in the Bank. So that just made that entire promo meaningless. As great as it was, as, creative as it was, as real as it was, it ultimately meant nothing. So I'm going to skip that one. Best promo, though? I honestly can't think of one. The promos as a whole have been relatively weaker from the 2000s and especially from the 80s and 90s. So yeah, I'm going to just skip that one. Best monster character, and by monster character, I assume you mean like best giant, like a Big Show type of wrestler. Probably Braun. No. I guess by default you'd have to go with Brock. I guess, but yeah, that's a tough one too. Best and worst gimmick. Oh God. Again, there haven't really been that many big time gimmicks. Best? I'll always go back to The Miz and just his general heel persona. Worst? Worst gimmick. Drawing a blank here. Jeez. It's been a while. Stardust. It might not be the worst, but that's the first one that popped into my head for some reason, so I'll go with Stardust. I understand that, after Dusty died, Cody wanted to follow in Dusty's example and, continue doing what Dusty wanted him to do, so he went with it and he sunk his teeth into it and whatnot, but it was bad. It was just bad. Best tag team that was broken up too soon and the tag team that stuck around for too long. I can make the argument that the tag team that stuck around for too long, unfortunately, even though they've done some good things and they've been very entertaining, and they did lead to one of my favorite WrestleMania moments, I might say the New Day. But then again, I look back and say, Well, if they broke up in, let's say, 2017, 2018, the time frame that I expected them to, that means that we don't get that moment at WrestleMania 35. We don't get Kofi Kingston winning the WWE title. So maybe they shouldn't have maybe they shouldn't break up. Maybe they shouldn't have broken up. Excuse me. But if they weren't gonna go in that direction at WrestleMania 35, again, this is just strictly what ifs. I might go with the New Day. For the tag team that stuck around too long. Best tag team broken up too soon, Enzo and Cass. Because Enzo may not have been the best in the ring. Trust me, he sucked. Big Cass might not have been the best in the ring. Again, he kind of sucked. But the two of them were entertaining together. And they didn't go all the way with them as faces on the main roster. If I remember correctly, I don't even think they held the titles. And these were two guys hot from NXT, going up to the main roster. There was a buzz behind them, a feeling of something special around them, and ultimately they barely lasted a year and didn't even hold the tag titles. That's bad. That's just bad. Walter Main. Were the 2010s the best decade for in-ring quality in wrestling history? Yes, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Yes, it was the best in-ring quality, but unfortunately every other aspect to what makes the WWE so good and what makes wrestling so good declined as a result of this one quality, this one attribute, this one part of the story got better, everything else got worse. So... yes, it was, but again, doesn't tell the full story. Who are your starting 9 for the decade in MLB? Oh, man. First base, Freddie Freeman. As much as I love Joey Votto, Freddie Freeman's just been the most consistent. I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman. Second base, I'm going to go with, even though a lot of the allegations that are popping up now about the Astros, I'm going to go with Jose Altuve. Shortstop, I'm actually gonna go. When I did the all-decade team in my baseball Facebook group, Third Base Saloon, and the link to that is in the description box down below too. I set up some polls asking everyone, who's the best third baseman of the decade, who's the best shortstop of the decade, catcher, whatnot. My sister was actually the only one that voted for Elvis Andrus, and I don't understand why nobody else voted for him. I don't understand why he wasn't at least in the top 3. I don't even think he was in the top 5. He actually lasted the entire decade and was pretty consistent. Was he the best at his position? No, but he was average to above average every single year. Meanwhile, Francisco Lindor only played half the decade, who has similar stats in his career to a guy in Ahmed Rosario on the Mets. I'm repping their shirt right now. Yet Ahmed Rosario doesn't get any love. But yet Francisco Lindor is the best. I don't know. I don't get it. So I'm going to go with Elvis Andrus. For third base, Nolan Arenado. I love Adrian Beltre, but Arenado, 7 consecutive Gold Gloves, several top 5 MVP finishes, several 40 home run seasons. I know he plays at Coors Field, but take that and shove it. It means nothing. You still have to hit the ball at Coors Field just like you do at every other park. Plus his defense is legendary. So I'm going to go with Nolan Arenado. Outfield, Mike Trout. If I could just pick Mike Trout 3 times, I would, but Mike Trout... I'm going to go with Yelich. And... not sure about the third guy. I know some people might say, what about Mookie Betts? What about like Andrew McCutchen? If the second half of the decade for Andrew McCutchen wasn't so underwhelming, I might pick him. If Mookie Betts played longer than 4 or 5, I think he's only played for 4 or maybe even 5 years, I might pick him. Even though he was not healthy often, maybe Stanton. But I'm going to just pass on the third outfielder. I still haven't pieced it together yet. And for catcher, I'm going to go with Yadier Molina. There we go. What was the greatest playoff series of the 2010s in any sport? One of my, I don't know about greatest, but a couple of my favorites. 2016 World Series Cubs Indians, 2017 World Series Astros Dodgers, 2011 World Series Cardinals Rangers, 2015 ALDS Blue Jays Rangers. Any series the Mets were in except the World Series in 2015. But that's just baseball. If I look at others, trying to think. I know there were some good hockey ones. I'm just trying to remember which ones. I liked the Vegas Capitals series back in 2017, 2018. It's a good question. I might go with, like, I don't remember which year it was, but there was a Cavs-Warriors series that I think the Warriors were up 3-1 and the Cavs came back and won it in 7 games, so I might go with that one too. I can't think of any for hockey, which is weird because I watch hockey a lot more than I do basketball. So I'm just going to skip that one for now. I'm just going to skip hockey. I gave you some baseball ones, but I'll skip hockey. What was the best baseball game, just a straight up baseball game you saw in the 2010s? One of them I've been to live. It was Mets-Giants back in 2014. I don't know if it was the best baseball game of the 2010s. I definitely don't think it was. But the best that I've seen live during that time, 2014 Mets-Giants, it was Jacob deGrom versus Jake Peavy. Yes, Jake Peavy. And they both had no-hitters going on. And Peavy actually had a perfect game going on. And they both went into the 7th inning with a no-hitter and a perfect game. So that was pretty cool to see. The Mets wound up winning that game, but just the excitement of, potentially seeing history got me really invested into that game. So I'm going to pick that one. For second, for another one, I'm going to go with Game 5 of the 2017 World Series and also Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. I know I'm going back to those two, but it is what it is. What was the most shocking headline of the 2010s in either sports or wrestling? For sports, Cubs winning their first World Series since 1908. I know I keep gravitating towards that again, but again, is what it is. It was great. It was a good moment. Awesome. For wrestling, most shocking headline for wrestling. Most shocking headline. If WWE ever wound up buying TNA, that probably would have been it, because I didn't really expect them to. But since I can't choose that, since TNA is still kicking somehow, one of the kind of a shocking headline in wrestling was the announcement that they were going to try and do an independent show at a big arena, also called All In. And, hearing that a non-WWE show sold out a big arena in the US in the 2010s was pretty shocking to me, because attendance in wrestling has gone way down from where it was. But if you're an upstart company like AEW was, to get 10,000 plus people in their first show with absolutely no idea what storylines or what characters or what matches or what pay-per-views or what shows or whatever the case may be, with absolutely zero experience doing it, and yet they were able to sell out Chicago, 10 plus thousand people in one show, in their first show. I think that was shocking to me. Obviously, another one, the streak ending at WrestleMania 30. What was the best MLB team of the decade, as in team from one single year? Oh, man. Good question. Another good question. Even though they were eliminated in round one of the playoffs, 2017 Cleveland Indians, especially going on that big 21 game winning streak and being basically unstoppable in the second half. How they didn't make it out of the first round is still beyond me. 2011 Cardinals and 2011 Rays, because they were both down by 10 games in the wild card standings in September, as late as September, and they both made the playoffs over the heavily favored Braves and the heavily favored Red Sox. I might go with them. If you could put any two baseball teams from separate years against each other in a 7-game series, who would you choose, and who do you think would win the series and why? So two monster teams against each other. I would go with the 2017 Astros versus 2017 Astros versus 2016 Cubs is what I would go with. And who do I think would win? Probably the Astros. I think they were just the more all-around team. Feel-good moment of the decade in both sports and wrestling. Feel-good moment, sports. I'm going to just stick to baseball. Again, I know I keep gravitating towards it. Walter will appreciate this because he's a Cubs fan. Cubs winning the World Series. Also, the combined no-hitter that the Angels threw after Tyler Skaggs passed away. That would be another good one. For wrestling, a feel-good moment. Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 35. Shocking moment of the decade for both. Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 35. Another shocking moment in wrestling would be Daniel Bryan coming back. Obviously, the streak ending. For sports, shocking moment. Obviously, whoever won their first titles, like the Cubs winning their first one in 108 years. The Royals winning their first in 30 years. The Washington Nationals winning theirs for the first time ever. What else? The Philadelphia Eagles winning theirs, even though it came at the expense of my Patriots. That's another one. I'm going to skip basketball. Hockey. The Vegas Golden Knights in their first year in the league, making it all the way to the Stanley Cup. That was probably one of the most shocking moments in hockey. That's about it, all I can think of for now. But thank you to you two for sending in questions. Next Q&A, which will probably come in the next week, maybe 2 weeks. I want more people asking questions. Looking at all these questions that I got from them, for 2 people, I went almost 25 minutes. Maybe if we do another Q&A with more people, I can make them longer. You're going to hear your questions answered. It'll give me a chance to, ask questions, answer questions, interact with all of you. Thank you guys for submitting your questions. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Matt from Unlimited. See you later.